Smiling Friends is one of the most consistently funny cartoons I've watched in years, so to see it finally return on April Fool's Day of all days and keeping up that same formula as season 1 was a total treat to watch and rewatch for me. Just like a lot of the previous Smiling Friends episodes, this one was primarily focused on a brand new character that needed help from the Smiling Friends, an old retro video game character named Gwimbly. This guy has been all over my Twitter feed since this episode aired, so I wanted to try to figure out why people have become so fixated on this presumably one-off episode character, because it feels like this guy is on the same level of popularity as Mr. Frog and Shrimp now, maybe even a bit higher than both. So just right off the bat, we can see Gwimbly is unlike any other character we've seen in Smiling Friends. We've gotten 3D characters before, like with Satan, but not this kind. Gwimbly has a very pixelated look to him. It even sounds like his voice is coming from a PS1 game whenever he talks, which was 100% intentional since he's a 90s video game character who's fallen out of the spotlight, not having any new games released and resorting to making money off of Cameo or doing his iconic Gwimbly dance for money.
Ew, ew, ew.
Speaking of the Cameo bit, apparently this bit was a direct reference to a message Zack and Tomar did for a fan request at some convention a couple years back, which is hilarious if true. Even if you're someone who didn't like Gwimbly's screen time, there's no denying that he's going to be a lot more memorable just off of his design alone. The very concept of Gwimbly is something I think a lot of people can resonate with. Many IPs from the 90s or early 2000s, especially from the PS1 days, have been forgotten or fallen into obscurity due to the corporations feeling like the names of these characters aren't worth investing into products anymore. Characters like Banjo-Kazooie, Jex, Captain Falcon to a degree, and even Crash Bandicoot until a few years ago. These franchises had developed genuine fan bases over the years and were constantly holding out hope for a new installment, but were usually left disappointed. It makes Gwimbly's existence feel very relatable in a sense, arguably the most relatable character that's needed help from the Smiling Friends so far, because just about everybody played those kinds of games growing up at least once or twice. Not everyone was a, TV star like Mr. Frog or something. This episode kind of made Pim feel like one of those fans. Throughout the entire episode, he was the one constantly pushing for Gwimbly to get back into the market, even when his coworkers didn't really care. Mainly Alan, who it was nice to see do some field work for once. Most of Alan's screen time in season 1 was spent back at the office, so I'm hoping we get to see more of him outside because he was an absolute treat to watch.
See you now.
What? She startled me.
Hell, Zack and Michael are probably those same types of fans to a degree. I know Zack in particular is very into games because he was on Oni Plays for several years. You can tell these guys really wanted to put as much detail into Gwimbly as possible. Like, they even made a fake boss battle with him when they entered the game company. Like, they didn't need to go that far, but they did. And then you look at this scene where it's intentionally zoomed in on Pim's face while he's holding Gwimbly's arm. Gwimbly's arm and part of his torso can be seen changing sizes through the shifting polygons. Even Pim's arm and hand look like they're constantly having to change in frame rate to keep up with this. I'd love seeing details like that. Gwimbly is just naturally funny too, like, well, every single main character and side character of the show. I especially enjoyed his interactions with the CEO of his old game company, threatening the guy almost instantly when he makes a sarcastic comment about his solo career. The CEO is the most self-aware character in this episode too, openly pointing out the issues with the real-life game industry with everything being centered around DLC and microtransactions, as well as him willingly choosing to not want to do anything with Gwimbly's future, so he wants to go out of his way to stop the Smiling Friends from making an independent Gwimbly game. What adds to this being funnier than normal, at least for me, is how ugly this character looks, so it makes me just want to laugh at him. On top of him eating those chicken nuggets all the time at what feels like 10 times the normal speed of how, other characters move. Eventually, the three of them try to recruit others for the independent game, like Gwimbly's old nemesis from the games, Count Groxia. Problem is, he's not really interested in being in the scene now, settled down, living the simple life with his lovely wife.
Guys, I really gotta go. Bye.
This followed by Gwimbly suggesting they go find his sidekick Mr. Millipede, only for the next scene to jump cut right to that guy's tombstone. It's just genius, dude. The way the episode ended was probably my favorite because it continued to play on the idea of how these characters are treated in the most realistic way possible. Gwimbly ends up in what's essentially the Smiling Friends equivalent of a Super Smash Bros. Game, which makes me associate Gwimbly with Banjo-Kazooie in particular more than any of the other old platformer mascots, because not only did Banjo-Kazooie get into Smash after not having a proper platformer title for years, they also function as a duo, the same way Gwimbly and Mr. Millipede used to. Bottom line is, this was an incredible way to open up the newest season. It'd be awesome if every, or even just the majority of the season 2 episodes were able to introduce more unique characters like Gwimbly. And mark those calendars for May 12th because I am beyond ready to see more of these guys again. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the season 2 premiere as well as Gwimbly's character if you did see it already. He's personally one of my favorite one-off characters so far, but I'd be curious if you felt differently. Of course, don't be a stranger to leaving a like down below if you enjoyed the video and subscribing for more content like this in the future. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.